we're back live in the corner here of Viewpoint. The program is Politicians, Personalities, and Perspectives. And as I said early on, we certainly have two of those. We have a personality and certainly a perspective. Our guest this morning, the Rev Glen Shelton of the Second Baptist Church. Glenn was just recounting one episode in his early days here in Lincoln, Logan County. And you know, interesting, Pastor, that's a part of, and I grew up here, as you well know, and we had some real wonderful, and I'm not trying to stroke you at all, we just had some great black people here in this community. And I never, I guess may have had my head in the sand or just too naive to know, I never saw the ugly side of the other side of the coin. But you wanted to address the fact that from that point on, that was an early problem you had, and you were about to comment about how we have progressed.
Definitely. What happened after that was I made a state of the city, state of the county address. Every Martin Luther King birthday, we had a service at the church. The mayor would get his state of the city address. Well, I would do a state of Logan County, Lincoln address from a black perspective, and how much we have done and gained and grown, etc. And I cited the police department as an example where we need to get better. The police chief came to my house and sat down, and we had coffee, and we began talking about relationships and everything. As a result of that, I joined the what do you call this, Citizens Police Academy, where you go through the training that some of the policemen go through and do your simulated kinds of drug bust and things like, so that I could get a better feel on the police responsibilities and how they respond in certain situations, etc. From that, working with other policemen and talking with them and sitting down and communicating with them, we got to know each other. And from that, a relationship built up to where I became more involved in the community. Domestic violence, I would get a call and see if I would come, and usually it was black people, and talk to people, and so the relationship really got stronger and stronger. I really believe that the police force went through the sensitivity training and those kinds of training programs that make people a little bit more aware of the different cultures of people, where black people like to raise their voice when they talk.
Or sing.
White people see that as a form of intimidation and get threatened by the way our tone and tenor, maybe even the use of expletives and things like that, because that's common among blacks. Knowing these kinds of things, you can react and you can act differently, knowing that this is the way that culture is. They understand now. You just don't go in to an Asian family and go directly to a female.
No.
That's an insult to the male, the man of that house.
That's a different culture.
Exactly. Go to the male and ask permission to speak to the wife about.
Interesting.
And once you learn that, you can handle your business easily and effectively and gain respect from that different culture that you've come through than you're used to.
Man, you ought to call Washington, D.C. and talk to the president and the Republicans and the Democrats and tell them if they'd sit down together and talk to one another, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another story.
That is.
we might go on. We may be cut off the air if you.
Police force is doing a wonderful job. The sheriff's department is doing a wonderful
Well, we get some good officers. We have some good leadership. We have some good leadership and good officers.
Yes, we do. do.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to say what happened 28 years ago and little incidents that happened. You'd be surprised at the number of calls that I get that alleges discrimination.
Alleging.
Alleges.
Yeah.
They're picking on me.
Well, you see, Jim Ash and I grew up in different areas. I suspect you did not have a black family in Atlanta when you grew up, Jim. You had a couple, yeah. All right. Well, percentage-wise, we were about the same when I grew up in Lincoln. And as I said to you on the way up this morning, I sat down and wrote a list of the names that came to my mind.
Right.
And I could remember virtually all of them. And because they were all good citizens and well-respected folks. Yeah. And I just came across, in looking at this last night, I came across a thing that Debbie Ross had written about her adoptive father, John A.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Who was a legend here.
Yeah.
Just a legend.
I got to meet him.
Yeah. Well, you were lucky. And then, of course, and I wanted to talk just a minute about Langston Hughes. Gentleman was only here almost a year, didn't it? And, of course, we're claiming him because he attended Central School here and began to write his poetry and so forth.
Right.
But in looking around, I found the doggone guy was a communist, too.
I never heard that.
And that bothered me a little bit. Well, Paul Robeson, the wonderful singer, my God, he could sing. He was a communist, avowed and open. But that's part of history.
Yeah,
that's part
it really is.
It's interesting to note that, and of course, Langston Hughes came to prominence primarily through the pen or the typewriter keys of Bill Maxwell.
Oh yeah.
Who wrote so much about Lincoln.
Yes.
But I found one poem that I just, if I can dig it out here about Langston. Well, here it is right here. And it's kind of an interesting poem, real short. It says, I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when the company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. That was written 1925.
Isn't that something?
I thought that was very interesting, so that's why I copied that to the...
And that was his dream, and it's a reality today.
Yeah.
It was a dream deferred.
He was a forerunner, just kind of in a vicarious way, of Martin Luther King in that statement.
Exactly. Exactly.
I noticed that the students here were celebrating Langston Hughes. I don't remember that happening before. Has that been an annual thing?
No, not to my knowledge.
I think that's new. I think that's nice.
I do.
I mean, heck, not everybody that comes out of Lincoln, everybody that comes out of Lincoln is swell, but they aren't all famous, you know.
Yeah. There is so much black history in the forming, and may I even go so far, and the founding of America that has been missed. You and I didn't have black history in our schools.
No.
I was just as ignorant about blacks as far as history of America is concerned as you were. I didn't know. It wasn't anything written. Although there was things written, it wasn't included in our history books. And so it's just recently, my first, when I went to college, I was 33 years old. First time I ever went to college in my life. And they had a course called Black History. Why, I immediately took this course.
Sign me up, huh?
I found out more about blacks here in America than I ever known before. Read some of Langston Hughes's poems, and was amazed that man would have a mind like that, who could articulate things that are going on in America in such a way that it was acceptable to all races, and recognize the talent, skills, abilities, and gifts that this young man had at that time, and then to go on into prominence with his writing.
Well, eloquence especially in front of a microphone or at the pulpit, is not always the best thing. I about ready to get myself in trouble here, but I'm going to. I probably will. Going to ask what you think about
it. Not rare for you.
Well, that'd be right too. The Jeremiah Wrights and the Charlie Rangels and those people, and we've got them on our side too. Don't misunderstand me. But they, in my judgment,
okay,
as humble as it is,
right,
and I'm serious about this, they don't do one doggone thing to advance the cause of the black person. They create, by their rhetoric, more racism than would exist without their mouthing off.
Yeah.
Am I correct in that, or am I biased?
Well, in addition to racism, hatred would be on the black side. What they did was to incite blacks to even hate more on the treatments that they feel that white society is opposing upon them, limiting them access to things and things like that. Jeremiah White was a radical. I used was as a hopefully a past tense, but I don't keep up with him. I never considered him as a leader.
Or a role model.
Yeah, or a model, and especially claiming to be a messenger of God who spoke of love for everybody, regardless. And then he would speak only about blacks, forgetting our history, world history of many races experiencing the same things that black experienced early on in America as slaves, etc. The Jews, even the Hebrew people were slaves for 400 years, under Egyptian rules, and that's why I came to understand history is not going to change. It may be toned down a bit, but discrimination, segregation, hatred, negative opinions about people of color, whether black, Hispanics, whatever, even whites, that's not going to change ever in this life. That's not going to change it. No matter what we do, all we can do is be living examples as that's not the way I am. And hopefully somebody is looking at me, you, and seeing how we live and how we get along with each other and says, well, that's not the way I was raised. I was raised to not trust, to hate, to put down these individuals, but they're not that way. Look at these two, black and white, getting along together. I'm attracted to that. That looks good to me. And they change. Little by little, we make the change until the Almighty makes the big change.
The big change. Comes the big change. Well,
that would be the big change, right?
People who are of the Muslim faith, that's based on the same principles really as the Christian faith. It's based on kindness and love, but not unlike the Jeremiah Wrights and others of his sort.
Right.
There are those who preach hatred and awfulness. So there are different groups. It isn't all white people or black people or whatever else that are preaching hatred. And golly knows enough hatred comes about on its own volition without having people trying to bring it up.
Two things. One, remember Jeremiah Wright and Charlie Rangel are more into remembering our history and never forgetting how you were treated. Now, that's the positive things that they're doing. It was Santana who came up with the phrase, those of us who ignore our history, he used the word doom. We are doomed to repeat it.
Yes.
So
I read that.
Rango and Wright are more of, let me keep you fresh on the history.
Yeah.
Let me
keep digging it up.
But
digging it up.
Exactly. But what that does is set in us, regardless, either some things that we've been suppressing or getting rid of in us in terms of our opinions about people, keeping it alive, keeping the fire still going in us. Muslims, as a religion, I think Christians can learn a lot about their religion and how to treat people all the time. But Muslims here, they have a fraction, what's called, or I call them a faction, black Muslims. I have a problem. I have a concern with persons who was born one name and then they got enlightened and they're going to change their name to another name. And now we have to call them somebody else. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Cassius Clay. Change his name.
What? For what?
Yeah.
You know, still do what you do.
Yeah.
But this cherry picking of things goes on in every religion, because any one of us can pick one verse out of the Bible. Well, if you don't read what's before and what follows,
Thank you.
You know, you can make it, the one little verse, say anything you want it to say. You can't cherry pick the line.
Thank you. I'm glad you used that. For an example, you used my favorite book, the book I've been reading for years. Never quite finished.
It's a bestseller, you know.
Once I finish, I go back to it again and read it over. But it says, just one verse I want to give you that you made a strong point on. It says in Matthew, it talks about where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am with you. We have taken that scripture out of its context, is what you're saying, and applied it to every other situation. For instance, if I have a choir practice and not many people come, we take that scripture and says, well, it says in the Bible, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am with you. Well, that's not, you took it out of its context. In the context of that chapter, they were talking about discipline, how to discipline people. You can't just say you were wrong. You got to get 2 or 3 witnesses to go along with what you have said. And then Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are together in my name, with this accusation, I'm with you. I'm backing you up. That's what that scripture is addressing, not this other kinds of stuff. We do that all of the time in our daily lives.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You call it cherry picking. I like that.
Well, she's born a pretty face, I'll tell you that, Reverend. We all know that up here.
That's going to be in my next sermon.
I want to say one thing about the days of slavery. You know, during that very era, there were the indentured servants. Now, that's another name for slavery. It's the same difference.
Same thing.
The very same difference. Just a different group of people.
Yeah. Let me give you some distinctions there.
Oh, alrighty.
You remember the Fosters?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh,
Joe and
Mary.
Foster?
Yeah.
And the boys?
Joe had a brother.
I know.
Was a little darker than Joe. When they were up in Chicago, they both applied for this job. And the employer liked both of them. Loved both of them. One was to work outside, and the other one could be like a servant on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
They picked Joe to work on the inside.
Interesting.
Because he was lighter, more acceptable.
In
but in the days of slavery, the house slaves
were light.
That guy had forgotten we passed that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And speaking of that doggone clock has moved light years on us.
Oh, dear.
I'm sorry about that, Mr. Producer. Glenn, we appreciate very much your being with us this morning. You've honored us with your time and your presence.
Bless you.
Glenn commands a great deal of respect in this community, and rightfully so. So we thank you very much, Reverend Glen Shelton.
Thank you.
I was going to close Viewpoint with this remark that the man who sees everything in black and white is not using his gray matter. Thank you for Viewpoint.
There you go.